In this demo, we're going to have a look at creating a trust relationship in Windows Server 2008. So first of all, I'm in Active Directory Domains and Trusts. At the moment, I have two separate forests. I have the sterlingmv.local forest, and I've got the, just come down to this other machine here, I have got another forest here called anyco.local. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go back into my sterling.local. I'm in Active Directory Domains and Trusts. I right-click, go into Properties, and one of the sheet tabs is my Trusts sheet tab. Now there are a number of different types of trusts that you can do. So if I click on the New Trust Wizard, you can see that there are, again, depending on the questions or the answers to the questions that you give will determine what type of trust relationship it is. So for example, if I click Next, and if I say, okay, what's the NetBIOS and DNS name of my trust relationship? So in this case, I'm pointing to my server in my anyco domain. So in this case, it's anyco.local. Okay. Now I can click on Next. And at this case, it says, okay, what type of trust relationship do you want to establish? So I can either go for a Kerberos 5 Realm trust, or I can go for just a trust with a Windows domain. So again, in this case, in my example here, they're pretty similar. So I'm just going to click on Next. And I've now have the option, okay, is this going to be a non-transitive trust, or is it going to be a transitive trust? So remember that a transitive trust is a two-way trust relationship, whereas a non-transitive is, let's say, for example, you're a resource domain, or you're an NT4 domain with some resources. Well, you may want to set up a one-way non-transitive trust relationship. So when I click Next, you can say, okay, is this going to be a two-way trust, or are you just going to establish the outgoing or incoming connections? In this example, I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to create a one-way outgoing connection. So if I click on that, and then it asks me for a trust password. So I'll put my trust password in. Click on Next, and there we have a quick review and finish. Okay, so you can now see that I've established a one-way trust. Now obviously I could have put in a two-way trust relationship if I wanted to. What I wanted to do, I'm actually going to go to my other domain, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to go into Properties, I'm going to Trusts, and I'm creating a new trust. And this time, of course, it's to my sterlingmv domain. So sterlingmv.local. Okay. Again, I'm just going to go with the Kerberos 5 Realm trust. Okay, and I'm going to just the same kind of Realm trust again. Non-transitive or transitive. Again, I'll say transitive in this case. And again, I'm going to go with a one-way incoming this time. So in essence, it is a two-way trust relationship. It's just that I've done it separately. So let's have a look. Okay, so click on Finish. Okay, and we can now see that at this side, I've now got a domain sterlingmv.local. Okay. So the domains that are trusted by this domain would go here. So these are outgoing trusts. And domains that trust this domain, these are incoming trusts. So from the AC1 domain controller, you can see that these are incoming, whereas the other domain, this is an outgoing trust. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this, and I will also go to my other server and remove that as well. So that's one kind of trust relationship. So what I want to do now is I'm going to say, okay, let's go ahead and create a new trust again. This time though, let's give it a completely different name. So we'll call this, for example, tourist.com. Now, tourist.com is an NT4 domain. So we can go in here and we can actually specify what kind of trust relationship this is going to be. Okay, so again, is it a Realm trust or is it a trust with a Windows domain? Now, the reason why I have those two options is obviously because I'm using DNS naming standards here. So if I come back here and I just type in, let's say, the name tourist. Now, this is a NetBIOS name. So remember, in early versions of Windows NT, of course, it didn't support DNS naming standards that we have today. So now when I click on Next, it's going to say, all right, okay, a Realm Trust or trust with a Windows domain. So again, I'm going to say a Realm Trust. But this time I'm going to say it's a transitive trust relationship. And again, one way incoming and outgoing. So you can see that you can have, depending on your configuration, you can use NetBIOS names, or if you want to get full functionality, you can use DNS naming standards. So just remember that you can create different types of trust relationships. Relationships can be either transitive or non-transitive. So that means that you can log on in a child domain and essentially get resources everywhere. You also have the availability to create connections to external domains as well. Again, this depends on your configuration. Now, this particular domain is running at Windows Server 2008 Forest functional mode. So again, depending on the functional mode that you're running at will determine what connectivity options you have.